Hello and welcome to another show on Off the Post. This is Jake and I'm bringing you a new series for the channel, Off the Post Goes Grassroots. The series began as I was thinking about how most of the people on Off the Post don't actually live near their favorite NWSL club. So I thought it'd be a fun exercise if everyone went out into their local soccer community to find what women's soccer is available. I was also really interested in learning about what other leagues are out there below the NWSL level. I discovered the Women's Premier Soccer League and was lucky enough to have an interview with the commissioner, Jerry Zanelli. So I will play this interview now and let you all get to know him and the league a little bit better.
Sure. Today I have the special honor of interviewing someone who is very important in the women's soccer community. He's worked hard in the Sacramento and Northern California area, building up his own club, the California Storm, which has won the WPSL 3 times in 1999, 2002, and 2004. He's coached some illustrious names in women's soccer, including women's national team players Brandy Chastain, Super Julie Foudy, and Alex Morgan, as well as the Brazilian Cici, who is at the age of 48 is still even playing for the California Storm. He's the current commissioner of WPSL. Thanks for joining me tonight, Mr. Jerry Zanelli. How's it going?
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I guess to start, can you tell us a little bit about the history of the WPSL? I don't think most of the people who watch our channel know about the league and know that it's been a continuously running league since 1998.
Well, we were an original, or the California Storm was an original team in the W League, the initial start of the W League. And we were in that league for 3 years, but the league was combined with men's soccer, and any meeting you go to nationwide, if you have men in the operation, 99% of the time it's discussing men's soccer. And that's been true at U.S. Soccer, U.S. Soccer all the way down to United States Adult Soccer Association, and running the gamut even basically in youth as well. And so we thought, there's a group of us, 6 of us, that thought it would be a good idea to start a women's only league, that we would literally just start a women's league that we could concentrate on our activities and what's going on. So 18 years later, we have over 100 teams playing this year in the WPSL. So it's a matter of nothing's ever been done like this for women's soccer, because in the past, everyone's just ignored it. The time, money, and commitments and everything else go to men's soccer, and the women's soccer has always had to play a lesser role. But we were able to find 100 like-minded owners throughout the U.S. that thought that women's soccer deserved a chance to play, and that every woman throughout the United States would have the opportunity to play competitively in the high amateur competitive league. And whether they have to move somewhere because of work or school or significant other moving, and whatever the activity that took them to move around the U.S., and just about every part of the United States covered now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of how we started and how we ended up where we are. So.
Okay. Next question, I guess. What's it been like being commissioner of the league? Have you been commissioner since the beginning, or?
Yes, from the beginning.
What's it been like over the years?
It's a lot of hard work. But what really made the success is the amount of people that essentially are volunteers that have helped make this thing go. There's people that are interested in our regional commissionerships and our associate commissionerships and team owners, and we have, I think at last count, we had 12 women team owners, which is unusual in any sports activity. We don't keep record of coaches, and I'm sure there's quite a few women coaches as well, but mostly we just want the place for the players to play, and that's our main goal, is to provide the opportunity for some really talented high school players through college players to pick up a year's education in the summer, and post-college for the people that don't make the pros or go overseas to have an opportunity to play, that want to continue to play. And we have also been fortunate to have 3 of the pro teams have reserve teams in our league, so that keeps us very competitive as well. Next year we have 2 more that have already indicated that they do want to come in to the WPSL.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So we're excited. Yeah.
I guess being a coach for the California Storm, is it difficult to juggle the different hats between commissioner and head coach / owner of one of the franchises or teams?
Not really. It has not been. I spend 90% of my time on the WPSL, maybe 95% of the time. And because we've built up a reputation through the years, people contact us about playing for the team. Different college coaches approach me every year with 1 or 2 players they think are pretty good, and they want to get them to the next level. And they know our standard of play is a little bit higher than college, and therefore they want their players, to spend 10 to 14 games getting a year's experience.
Would you, I know this is probably going to be difficult, but could you give us a little bit of short history on how the California Storm came about and how that came?
Well, yeah, that was even stranger than the start of the WPSL. I had coached youth soccer, and I coached youth soccer in Southern California, and then came up to Northern California because of a job, which I had to do. And came up here, and then after I finished that, I was pretty much done with youth soccer. And a couple of people that played for me in youth soccer wanted to know where they could play, because colleges hadn't really picked up yet to the degree that Title IX had affected them as much as they have now. So it was an opportunity to be with some players and wanted to do something. So we tried to put a team together, and the only other team around that was a competitive women's team was a team in San Jose, which had something like 9 of the national team members on it. This is the early 90s. So it was like we went down and played them, and the first time we played it was like 7-0. And I thought that was a rude awakening, because I had certain players that played for me that really showed they were really great youth players, but to step up to the next level, they were just not there. So the team evolved out of that. We had a tryout, and we had something like 60 people turn out for the tryout, which was mostly students from UC Davis and Sonoma State and St. Mary's, and a couple of UC Berkeley's that pretty much were the nucleus of the team to start. And the second time we played this group of national team, we only lost 2-0, so I took that as a big victory. But we tried to form a Northern California Women's League, and I went to a meeting of the, what they call it, CSAN, the California State Association in Northern California, and went in there, and they spent the whole time speaking Spanish. And I said, well, wait a second, we'd like to form a Northern California Women's League. There's some teams around, Mills College and one in San Francisco, the Vikings, I remember, and a few other teams that said we'd like to form a Northern California League. And they said, no. He said, no, it's just not a good idea. So with that, we went to a regional level and tried to talk about forming a regional league. And we were told, no, there's not enough women players that could play. And, the usual roadblocks, and, there's 2-minute discussion of women, and the rest of, 90% discussion of men. So there was no effort by anybody to that time to even support women's soccer, a team level. So we kept about it. We kind of formed a group of us that got together and started erratically playing some games. And then the W League discussion came up. They were looking for some teams, and we put together some teams here in California for them. But again, we were like the afterthought, not only because of men, but because we're on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. A lot of soccer has an East Coast mentality and really doesn't pay attention to the West Coast. An example is the Pro League. It has no teams in California, yet we probably have hundreds of thousands of girls playing soccer here in California. Yet we have no pro team. So,
speaking about the league format, can you explain a little bit to us about what the league format's like today? I know it's a very regional-based league.
Yeah, very strongly. We have a team up in the Pacific Northwest. We have teams in Washington, Oregon, and a team from Vancouver, British Columbia, which we're trying to get approved by U.S. Soccer as well. But the men's team from British Columbia, the Victoria Island team that applied, has already gone through the process, and we keep getting delays, and we have to come up with more material, and we have to do more of this or that. So we're trying to get a Vancouver team into the league this year. And next, of course, we're going to bring a from Northern California. We have 9 teams: San Francisco to Fresno to Sacramento. Southern California, we have something like 10 teams now. Plus, we're trying to bring a team in from Tijuana, Mexico, to join us this year. They played last year as a U.S. team.
Yeah, Cholos, right?
Yeah, and they had difficulty getting fans across the border because of all the border hassles you have to go through now. They couldn't get their fans to come across. They couldn't get across, let's put it that way, to watch the games. And they also have a stadium that's literally 4 miles from the U.S. border. And, you know, that it's a stadium that's got a lot of people showing up for the games, a lot of fans, and it would make sense for us just for culturally to do an exchange, but for also to be competitive. They played in our league, and I think they ended up 3rd or 4th. I remember, going by memory now, so don't hold me to it. But they went down, and after our season was over, and they played in the Mexican Club Championship and won. So, I mean, we obviously are attracting some good teams from different parts of the world. Vancouver, British Columbia, for instance, has had teams in our league, both W League and WPSL in the past. So it's not like we're paving new ground. It's something that's already happened before. Then going to the Midwest, or the Central, as we call it, we have teams from Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Ohio. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Indiana, Michigan. So we got a great core teams there, and then we got in Florida we have 9 teams playing, and the East we have New England, of course, going all the way down to New York. We have 20 teams, and these are rough numbers, so I don't know my memory with it. As you can tell, of the number that we have. We have started up a Carolina League this year that attracted 5 teams to come in brand new, and we have 2 already that have sent money in for next year to join the league. So our growth has been everywhere. Atlanta joined us this year. We had 8 of the W League teams, the best 8 teams from W League came over and joined us this year. So our growth has just been, we think, spectacular. And we grew during the recession, which was an amazement in itself.
Well, that is pretty impressive. I guess also in terms of a league structure, there's a semifinal and finals.
Well, we have
a tournament.
East-West. We have East-West, South, and Central. All have regional playoffs within those areas. And then each of the 4 of them send it to a Final Four, which we alternate around the country. It's been held in this year. It's going to be in Columbus. Last year was Oklahoma City. The prior year, I can't remember. They were in Baltimore. We had in Chicago. We had Sacramento. We've had it in San Francisco. We've had it. It rotates around the nation. We had Salt Lake City prior to this. So we alternate around quite a bit. And the reason is that the cost of flight now is just killer for us. It's $20,000 because you don't really determine your championship until the week before the Final Four. And it's $16,000 to $20,000 in travel. Air. With all the airlines merging, Southwest deals are gone. Which when we first started the league, you could fly just about anywhere for $99 one way. So it would be about $200 round trip, which now costs $500, $600. So that's a big difference.
Well, when I saw the news about that Columbus was hosting, I was actually really excited. I'm actually in Toledo, Ohio, so that's actually short road trip down. And I actually lived in Columbus. I went to Ohio State for 2 years for grad school. So I'm very excited that I might have the opportunity to attend that this year. Have you actually?
The football draft tonight?
No, I did not. No, no.
Well, 5 Ohio State players got picked like in the first 15 or something like that.
Oh wow, well,
I know.
That is Ohio State football for you. But I guess I'm curious. What is the type of player that is attracted to the WPSL? Is it mostly college players trying to keep eligibility for their upcoming season? Or
it's a mixed bag.
It's
a mixed bag. Yeah. Some teams have older players that played, maybe a lot of them maybe in their 30s. We had everywhere last year on our team. We had 2 high school players, one of which started for us, and now she's at UC Berkeley, and is projected to be a starter there. And then we also had Cece, who is just an amazing woman and player that you just wouldn't believe. I mean, so talented and so helpful and so instructive to the kids. In fact, Teresa Naola, who's now on the Mexican national team, played for us when she was in high school, and then, of course, went on to Stanford. And a couple of years at Stanford, she still played with us, and she became the Herman Award Best Women's Soccer Player in the United States or something like that.
Yeah,
she was a senior at Stanford. Yeah, and went on to play pro ball, and also went on to Mexican national team. She played for the Houston team, I believe, in the pro league, maybe even Kansas City. And she went into Holland and played in Holland for a while. And she's joining us. She's coming back this year to play with us. So.
Oh wow,
we're excited. Yeah.
Are there any other players that people should be keeping an eye out for this season that have entered the league, or is it?
Well,
is it
we
kind
had
of
many.
team by team?
We had it kind of, you just never know who's going to develop. I've had players that kind of like started out, and I'll give you an example of Kristen Coleman last year from Stanislaus State. Was coming off of an injury, so she was like hesitant, obviously, but she was like a year off the injury, but she was hesitant, and she was kind of like not sure of herself, and you know, as the season wore on and on and on, by the end of the season, she was one of our strongest players. So, and then she went and had a great year down at Stanislaus State, where she played this year, and she's coming back to play with us again before her next year to get even better. So, and another case was 2 twins. Shelby, and I can't remember the other one's name, out of Stanford about 8 years ago or so. Paul Radcliffe, the coach of Stanford, called me up and said, these a couple players are kind of raw, they're going to be here for the summer. You think you find a spot for them? And he says that they're kind of tall and you know, and well built. And he said that, you know, they just are not tuned into being aggressive, you know. So when they first joined our team, I said, look, you know, this league, you better be aggressive. And I don't mean dirty play. I mean just go hard to the ball and just not give it up, you know, and use your body as much as you can. So by the end of the year, I felt they had improved a lot. I didn't think anything of it. But about a month into Stanford season, I got a call from Paul saying that, you know, that what I do to them over the summer, because they came back as 2 entirely different players. So you never know who's going to develop and who isn't. I mean, I could probably name a lot of them that didn't make it as well. But the net result of players that have gone on after soccer, you know, I had 5 former Storm players are all radio announcers now, or TV announcers now, air analysts. Julie Foudy, Brandy Chastain, Leslie Osborne, Monica Gonzalez, and Allie Wagner all played for me at different times. So we're the team that puts out the announcers, I guess. I'll have to start advertising that, but we're pretty comfortable that all the teams have good programs. All the people, you know, have good owners. We have we have a meeting once a year where we gather all the team owners, and we sit down and go over things for rules for the year, et cetera, and how we're going to operate. And we found that we can be rivals on the field, and there's a Southern California team and our team. We would fight it out on the field. It'd be just tough games. maybe shootouts, maybe overtimes, whatever it was. And there was always these tough games, no matter where we played, whether it's a tournament in Vegas or league play or whatever it was. There'd always just be this hard-fought game. But the minute the game was over, and maybe that's the difference between men and women, I don't know, teams, but once the game was over, it was, hey, what do we got to do to make this league better? And that's just been the attitude that everyone's had, and that's made it successful. The owners, and then all the people that helped, from the regional commissioners to the associate commissioners to the treasurer to the everybody that's taken part in this league, has made it go. It's not been a one-person operation. It's been a very great group effort.
Great. I guess my next question, we see that teams like Boston, Boston Breakers, Chicago Red Stars, and the Washington Spirit have introduced reserve teams in the league.
Yes.
Is there any sort of formal relationship with NWSL, or is there a relationship
that
really might come along like MLS has with the lower division USL?
Well, women's soccer is different than men's.
Okay.
And I always give a perfect example of it is if there's a wedding and you have a women's soccer player in your team, and she may not even be in the wedding or getting married, she'll go to the wedding of a friend. If it's a man and it's his own wedding, he'll go to the soccer game instead of his wedding. And I think that's a real difference between men and women, as I've seen in soccer. The men seem to be more out of it for themselves. What can I do? Where's my next step? What am I going to do? While the women always like the idea of a cohesive team playing together with working for an end result and as a team as opposed to individuals. And even the greats that played for me, whether it be Cece or Julie Foudy or Brandy Chastain or anybody, they've always been team-oriented. They've not been me. We had an experience, one of the Brazilian players came to play for us, and it was like, I'm the person kind of a thing. And then immediately it turned off the whole team, and that ended quickly. And then we had another person that came up to play for us that was not only would argue with the other team players, but the other team coaches and our team. She'd be argumentative. She lasted barely 1 year with us and, just invite her not to come back. So we try to build, and all the teams try to build this team identity and team play, and working that into some of our players, yes, go on from our league to play with the pros, but if you look, the pros have, 20 to 22 positions on each team, and there's, 9 teams now or 10?
There's 10 now, yeah.
10 now, 10 teams now. So that's, 220 players at the most to play professional. That doesn't leave room when you turn out thousands every year coming out of college. Doesn't leave much room for them to play pro. So a lot of the top college players got selected. And then you've got the Canadian and the U.S. soccer associations, which are paying for players, which U.S. soccer may not do next year, which they haven't voted on yet to do it. And I think that's just, again, the point I'm trying to make is that it's the women are the afterthought and are not treated the same. And whether that's salary that's being paid the players, we have, the women have won multiple Olympic Games, multiple World Cups. The men barely get out of the first round. Our under 23 men's team doesn't even qualify for the Olympics, and yet we have the women that continually do great things, and they just do not get rewarded to the degree that they should. It's almost like the men are jealous in a way that the women are so successful. So my solution would be to take the money that you spend on the men, spend it on the women, and then take the money you pay the women and spend it on the men, and maybe the men will start winning.
Oh, that's one way
to... It's from top to bottom. It goes on, top to bottom. There's just this anti-woman feeling, and yet 50% of the women playing soccer probably are women right now, between youth and women.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a problem that I'm not sure how to resolve. Probably not in my lifetime.
Okay, great. I guess kind of getting towards a wrap up here. What are there any specific long-term goals that the league has here in the next 5 to 10 years?
To continue to do what we're doing. It's successful, so why change it?
Mm-hmm.
Our success has been the fact that U.S. soccer, and you can tell how they're screwing up youth soccer with all this age difference stuff that they're pulling. But U.S. soccer and all the way to U.S. Adult Soccer Association have left us alone because they really don't care. They don't care about women's soccer, period. I mean, they always talk about how, oh, yeah, we really support women's soccer, but when it comes to reality, they don't. So our goal is to keep doing what we're doing, set up a system that will continue to work into the future, and there's no end goals. There's no, what do we plan to, do. One of the breaks that we did, and we're always available for, is that when the pro teams were in between pro leagues, they came and played in our league. We set up an elite division for them. We operated on something like $15,000 a team, where they pay $1 million now, and we made it to work at $15,000 a team. We got a generous donation from Joe Salin with the Western New York team,
mm-hmm.
who put in $25,000 per team for travel, and that made it work. But someone like him that had the foresight to be supportive, which he's done for years, has made that a great success. And we owe a great debt of gratitude to him to keep things going the way he does. Same with Michael Stoller and the Boston Breakers and Chicago Red Stars, Amin as well. I mean, all these people have just been so supportive of women's soccer, and not enough credit goes out to those owners because they're pouring millions of dollars into this operation.
Okay. I guess my last question is there any specific predictions that you have that's going to happen in 2016 for the WPSL, or any last thoughts?
No. Yeah. The one thing I learned is everything's unpredictable. You think about over 100 teams fighting for 4 spots to eventually be a national champion. And that is more people that take part probably in anywhere in the world. I cannot think of anywhere. Even Europe probably doesn't have over 100 teams.
Yeah.
Does it? I don't know. Huh?
I can't think of it.
We have over 100. No, we have over 100 teams that are fighting to become number one. And everyone, thinks they have the chance until they play the first game or second game. But it makes it exciting, and when you win something, then you really win something. You don't win, a weekend tournament thing or 10 games league season or something like that. So, but that's my prediction. It's unpredictable.
All right. Well, great. Well, again, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you for calling.
Well, that was a really fun and informative interview, and I just want to thank Jerry one more time for being so open and accommodating with us here on Off the Post. I also want to let the listeners know that on Wednesday, May the 4th, we actually have another interview for the Off the Post Goes Grassroots series. We will be having head coach of Motor City FC, Aaron Bird, on the show. So hope you enjoyed this episode, and hope you tune back in on Wednesday to check that out and learn more about the WPSL, and specifically in Detroit, which is DJ's hometown. So look out for that, and hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend.